typically give 3 and 4-year-olds, we talked a lot about, hey, mommy has this job and this is how it works. And I'm not going to be here during this time, but you can count on me to be there during these other times.
Let's welcome our guest today.
My name is Erin Roche. I am a CPA in Santa Rosa, California.
How do you have a work-life balance as being a shareholder, a mother of 2 kids, and a wife?
The work-life balance piece comes into play when you take the time to really know what it is you want to get out of your business and where you want to set your boundaries. I have definitely had experiences when I was on my own, now even back when I was in college, where I did not hold my boundaries as tightly as I should have. And you can definitely feel it in your core when things are out of whack because it gets harder to do everything. So balancing being a mom and being a wife and my business, it was really important for me to keep my eye on what it was that I really wanted to get out of it. And even when things came up that sounded like, oh, this could be a great client, if I didn't have time to commit to it, making sure that I had a way to say no without making it stressful for myself. And that has been, more successful at times than others, but definitely something that I work on all of the time, making sure that I'm keeping in alignment with where I want my boundary to be, and making sure that I'm not overcommitting myself in either way, because if you have goals in your business, you also don't want to overcommit personally. Because I've had that come up too. I have a very big family, and we all love each other, and we like to hang out together. And there are times where you need to make sure that your family also understands, like, hey, it's tax season. I have a commitment to my business, and it's not always going to be this way. And I really need your support in being successful now, so that we can hang out and really enjoy our time together in 6 weeks.
What are some most difficult times that you have to say no?
I would say some of the most difficult no's that I've had to say were when my kids were very little, and they had things happening in it's usually March. So I'm on the tax side of the house in public accounting. So March is kind of our perfect storm where we have business deadlines and personal deadlines and just lots of stuff going on. So in that time frame when the kids were little, if they had school functions that were going on, I wasn't always able to make those particular functions. And it was hard to not be part of that when I was such an active part of my kids' lives outside of the busy season. And the best thing that I could do for them in those moments, again, was just giving them a little bit more credit than what I think adults typically give 3 and 4-year-olds. We talked a lot about, hey, mommy has this job and this is how it works. And I'm not going to be here during this time, but you can count on me to be there during these other times, which just made it that much more important that, when we got to May and June, I held those boundaries with my clients so that I could show my kids that they could count on me. Yeah, you're not going to be around maybe in March, but in June, I'm going to be able to go to everything. So keeping both sides of those boundaries and then following through on the commitments that I was making was a big part of navigating that in a successful way where they didn't feel like I was abandoning them every year. They definitely miss me, and they found ways to, make sure that I didn't forget about them during the busy season. But yeah, having that double boundary, both the boundary in the busy season and then outside of it, was really important. I get really lucky because my kids are pretty fantastic, and we do a lot of my husband is also a business owner, so we've had a lot of those conversations, and they're learning more about life because they just are observing it. And, not cutting them out of the process is a big thing too, making sure that they understand like as much as they can. I mean, they're not going to understand all of the nuances, but, there are things that they understand about being in public accounting now that, I think some freshmen out of college may not understand who are accounting majors. So yeah, it's an interesting process.
What is a typical day in your life now?
A typical day in my life as a CPA, 15 to I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, it's probably closer to 20 years in. It fluctuates depending on what's going on and what season we're in. So definitely during tax season, a typical day for me looks a lot like a lot of conversations with clients about what they had going, what we need for their tax returns, answering questions about why things were different from expectations based on prior year, explaining changes in tax law, working with my team members to help them understand, differences in where a particular transaction should fall on a form, helping them understand planning things and setting up expectations for the following year and what questions we need to ask of the client to make sure that we've got all of those teed up correctly. And communicating with other professionals. So I do a fair amount of collaboration with financial advisors as well. So my day would also have a good hunk of time where I'm reaching out to my colleagues and making sure that they don't have any insights that we need to factor in to the tax return process. Outside of tax season, it can vary from day to day quite a bit, which again, like variety for me is a big thing. So I think that has a heavy influence on what my calendar looks like. But a lot of the same on the consulting side. So I reach out to clients and I'm talking with them about how their year has been going so far and what changes they're expecting, if there are any goals that they have for the year, and how we can help align their taxes to be in service of those goals. And and then of course, like one of my favorite things, I do a lot of volunteering outside of busy season. So I'm very active with both Cal CPA and AICPA. And I have a lot of opportunities with both of those groups to connect with other CPAs and help provide resources to the profession so that CPAs can be successful in their chosen career paths.